Okay, we are at the top of the hour, so we're going to go ahead and get started. We still have people that are coming in, along with some of our presenters. So hopefully they'll pop in here quickly. Thank you for joining. Today's February 5th. We appreciate everyone that is here. We know that people join throughout the world, so thank you. If it is super late wherever you're at, and if it happens to be super early, thank you as well. Hopefully you'll get some really great insights about what we actually want to talk to you about today. So real quickly, as usual, I'll just go through some logistical information and then we'll get right into our content. So make sure I'm clicking in the right spot. So obviously, these are always for you. We try as hard as we can to bring fresh ideas, better understandings, and practical guidance. And I think that we'll definitely do that again today. This is being recorded, so feel free to sit back and enjoy and take notes if you choose to. It'll be out on our community site and, of course, out on our YouTube list as well. So definitely sit back and immerse yourself into the content today. And if you need to rewatch it, it'll be there for you. Please ask questions, but if you can, utilize the Q&A. That's the best place to do it rather than the chat. We actually don't get the chat from Zoom, so it's hard to do anything with that after the fact. So if you can ask your questions inside of the Q&A, and we have the presenters as well as other panelists that are on that can answer questions. And then, of course, if your question is about the content that we're covering today is relevant to that, and we feel as though it's important to stop wherever the presenter is at and ask that question, we'll definitely do that. But you are welcome to ask any other questions as well. If they're unrelated to the content, then those could possibly be answered as well if one of the panelists can do that. But if it needs to be live, it will be done at the end in the formal Q&A process after we have done or completed the session. So, Safe Harbor, don't know if there's necessarily anything in this today, but still something to think about as we do definitely have conversations. So make sure that you keep that in mind as you're listening to the content. And again, my name is Thomas Davis, and today we have Vicky who is on, as well as Ruspa and Mike. And they are going to be, Vicky and Ruspa are going to be doing the presenting. And then Mike is here as a panelist. And of course, Marta, I believe Olga is here as well. Dan is here. And I think Tara is going to show up at some point. So we have a good group of panelists and presenters that are on today. So what we want to actually talk about today is accessibility in platform analytics. More holistically, accessibility as it relates to the platform, but then also tie that into platform analytics. So hopefully this is something that you think about, or at least have had some conversations about. We know it is super important to make sure that everything that we do within ServiceNow inside of the platform is definitely accessible to everyone. So platform analytics is no different. So again, we want to talk about accessibility over the platform and then platform analytics specifically. Before we actually get started, I'm curious, and I do want to do a poll here real quick, and I'm just curious how many people actually think about this. So if you could take the next couple minutes and answer this question, and really give us some insight into, how often that you think about it, what's the level of importance maybe within your organization as it comes to these types of things, or if you've never ever actually thought about it and this will be something new for you, then that's super important for us as well. And hopefully at the end we'll be able to definitely give you some great insight to hopefully give you the ability to do some of this within your platform itself. So let's see, getting some good. Awesome. So, hey, at least it's middle of the road. I'll take middle of the road rather than everybody being never. If it was never, that would obviously be very concerning. But middle of the road is okay. Average amount of people think about it. Hopefully, by the end of this, everyone will think about this all the time, or at least as they're actually creating and think about what they create, they'll definitely keep this in mind. So, thank you all for that took the time to do that, and we can share the results. So this is interesting. So now you can all see. So about 60% think about it sometime. 23% think about it all the time, and 17% think about it never. So hopefully we can sway those nevers and sometimes to be more in the all of the time after the session. So with that, I'd like to pass this over to Vicky. So Vicky, if you're ready, please enlighten us as it relates to accessibility.
Hi, everybody. My name is Vicky. I am the Senior Outbound Product Manager for Accessibility here at ServiceNow, and I am so excited to be sharing a little bit more about our platform and accessibility with you all today. So one moment while I grab the screen from you, Thomas.
Yep.
Do. Awesome. So, I appreciate you coming to this session. And today we're really going to be focusing on accessibility broadly. So I'm going to do a bit of an accessibility 101, and then we will get into accessibility demos at the end. And we will be demoing just a few, general features and then a few features as well as it is specific to platform analytics. So, when we think about accessibility, I think we often assume that it's only for individuals with disabilities, but I don't believe that that's true. Accessibility benefits everyone. And at some point in all of our lives, we will have an accessibility needs, whether that's temporary or permanent. So in technology, we're embedding accessibility from the start. So we're not just improving accessibility for some of us, but creating a better experience for everybody. Awesome. So there is an estimated 1.3 billion people that experience a significant disability. So if you want to think about that in smaller numbers, that's about 1 in 6 or roughly 16% of us. So about 20% of the world's population is neurodivergent, about 10% is dyslexic, and 16% have a significant disability. ServiceNow is committed to making the world of work for everybody. So that includes making products that are accessible. There are a few things that were designed that you might not even think started off as an accessibility need or feature. So SMS, short message service, was initially developed in the 1980s as a simple text communication, partly helped to design those that are hard of hearing or deaf to communicate. Curb cuts were designed to assist people in wheelchairs. That was introduced in the 1940s to make accessible sidewalks for people with mobility impairments. And then motion activated doorways, all of us use those when we are, going about this world with the motion detected doorways. Those were originally designed for people with wheelchairs or walkers. So as we move forward in the digital technology space, we want to continue to keep those accessibility needs front of mind as we're developing, so we don't have to go back and create the opportunities for everybody to engage with our products. Okay. So accessibility is not just a local concern. Accessibility legislation differs based on geography. So it not only is it the right thing to do, it is the legally compliant thing to do. So accessibility has different frameworks. I would say generally the gold standard is the WCAG standard of accessibilities. And so that influences actually many laws like the ADA, the American Disabilities Act in the US, the EAA for Europe, and the ACA in Canada are built on the WCAG principles. So while the organizations that are operating globally, and if your organization operates globally, we are looking to align to all of these standards. It is a continual process. Accessibility is not a one and done. These standards are evolving, and so they help the customer. We are hoping to help you meet compliance requirements within the platform, and most importantly, to create an inclusive digital space that works for everybody. So we focus on a number of different disabilities, actually. So if you take a look at the screen here, you'll see that there are 5 different categories. You might be more familiar with some than others. And so we also would like to share that it is people first language. When we are talking about accessibility, is always a person and the accessibility need that they have. So when we use people first language, that ensures that we do not define them as their accessibility, but rather a variable of their being. So we design our products to make sure that people who have a visual impairment could use our products as well. Another disability category that we think about when designing is auditory. You'll see the example here on the screen. Speech, cognitive, so that could be something like dyslexia or ADHD, as to name a couple. And physical, perhaps using a voice command would be easier for somebody with a physical impairment to use our products. So we encourage you to think about these 5 categories as you think about accessibility and how to move the world forward. So at ServiceNow, we do put accessibility front and center. It has been one of our priorities, what we call a big rock for the last 3 years, I believe. And so we have an actual accessibility team that we have built here that we are super excited about. So we do a lot of compliance testing. We run a lot of tests to ensure that our products are meeting the needs of our customers. And we do strive to meet the WCAG 2.1 compliance standards, and we're preparing for 2.2. As I had previously mentioned, the compliance standards are evolving. A couple of things that we'll actually go over today are high contrast theming, such as zooming reflow, and a couple of Gen AI options, and more. And I know a lot of you all participate in our events, both in person and online digitally. Thank you for being here. We are always listening. So if you know of an accessibility need or have a suggestion for improvement, we're always listening. So please feel free to share that feedback. We also have a Now community page for accessibility. I encourage you to interact with us there. I personally monitor that channel. So we're always looking for advice from our community. And I'm happy to share that we are leading the industry at this time. So because of our continued commitment to accessibility, we've been recognized as one of the top 25 tech vendors in the world for 2024. And at ServiceNow, we believe that innovation is most impactful when it's inclusive. So Fast Company has recognized us as being one of the best places to work for innovators and a leader in diverse innovation, affirming that our culture of creativity, inclusivity is really a gold standard. As I had mentioned, we're a top work vendor and then a finalist in the Tech for Good Awards. And then we did receive recognition for the Digital Impact Awards. So I think these accolades are really wonderful to reflect as an organization how we champion accessibility both internally and externally. So we believe here at ServiceNow that accessibility isn't just a feature, it is a responsibility. And we're dedicated to ensuring that as we move forward in the world and generation of AI experiences like Now Assist and AI Agent, that we help bridge the gap between advanced technology and human-centered design. So our goal essentially is to create a digital world where everybody can thrive and make the world of work work. So the first feature that I'll be sharing with you today is voice input for AI agents. So this is really exciting because voice input is a pretty intuitive feature. So it enables hand-free control and interaction with our Now Assist panel. So it is voice activated, and a lot of us have used voice to text, like say in your text messages, you can speak into the speaker and then it'll generate text. And so the benefit of this is its simplicity in use and improved usability of our end productivity. Awesome. So I'm going to take a moment to pull up my demo here to see to use voice input. One moment. And feel free to put any of your questions in the chat here. We will try to answer them as much as we can. I would love to know if you wanted to share in the chat, what is one accessibility need that comes first and forefront of mind to you when you're working in the platform and online digitally. Thank you for your patience while I
Yeah,
pull
and
up.
just to clarify there, Vicky, too, we want, and any questions that people have about it, would they make sure to use the Q&A panel But if they
Yeah.
just have the feedback for you, the chat is fine for that.
Yeah, just the feedback of the chat, like, what accessibility features do you think about while I pull this up? Okay, great. One moment. My instance is pulling up. Awesome. Okay, I see that somebody's interested in theming. We do have some different themes, and let me open my instance. Awesome. Well, hopefully you'll find this, a couple of the things that we go over today helpful as you design your accessible experience. Okay, great. So you'll see here that I have an incident pulled up in in my instance here. And so what I'd like to do first is to make sure that I have my voice input turned on. So I'll navigate over here and then to preferences. And then I'll navigate over to accessibility, and then you'll see here, enable voice input for Now Assist panel. So that's on. Really simple to turn on once we have Now Assist on. And then here, I'm going to click on Now Assist. So first, I'll go ahead and clear my conversation I had previously had. And you'll see that it's popped up here. So now I'm going to go ahead and when I want to interact with voice input, I will click on the microphone, speak my command, give it a minute to generate a response, and then that's pretty much it. But it is important to remember that you would click the microphone again when you're done with your command. So it goes a little something like this. Summarize this incident. Summarize this incident. I'll give it a minute. As you can see, what I had said popped up here. And it's thinking about it. And as you see here, a summary has popped up. So it is super helpful. I know, oh, I love the clapping features. I know that I really like to speak into things. I barely even use my thumbs to text anymore. But yeah, we hope that you will engage with this feature. You'll see that after after I've spoken into it, it gives you a few options of what you can do next as well. I'm going to go ahead and end this chat so that we can keep going in the other exciting parts of our demonstration today. Right. One moment while I get my deck up and running.
Hey, Vicky, are you at a point where you could answer a question, an accessibility question now, or do you want to wait? Okay.
Happy to answer a question.
Yep. One question is there a delivered accessibility dashboard or metrics, something to help highlight where we might be missing or have opportunities?
We have accessibility checker. If we can get the contact information on that, I can go ahead and follow up. So accessibility checker in the platform will provide you with suggestions for where you can make improvements, such as like add captioning or, contrasting should be improved, things like that.
I think what we
Unfortunately,
can do, Vicky, is we'll make sure that we add that. At least I'm sure there's a doc for that, and we can add that into the community event.
Yes.
Yep.
If someone can add that into the Q&A, that would be really great. But accessibility, we
Yeah.
do have a feature that supports that.
Yep, it's there. It's in the Q&A.
Great. Any other questions, Dan?
Yeah, there's
nothing. Go ahead.
a question related to this voice input command. The first one is, since which release this voice command is available?
Yokohama.
Is Yokohama only? Okay, great. And then the other question is, does it recognize different accents? How does that work?
That is a great question for me to follow up on. We do work a lot on globalization, so I would think so, but I believe at this time, voice input is only in English.
But with that, would it work in different accents, like the natives?
I'll go ahead and follow up on that. I'm not exactly sure, but I hope that we've tested it on different accents.
Super, thanks.
Any other questions?
No, I think you're good to go.
Great. Another feature that we have that is really exciting, it's not actually just for our platform, it's for your general web usage, which I'm excited to demo for you. It's our text adjust plugin. And you'll see here that our text adjust plugin, you can turn it on, and then you could change the font. And you can change the word spacing, letter spacing, line height, and paragraph spacing. And as we had discussed earlier, accessibility is designed for everybody, not people just with specific needs. And I know at the end of the day, after I've been reading emails or I've been in the platform for a long time, it really helps me out. And so this is available in the store. And it is, as an act of good stewardship to the internet, to everybody, it is actually free of charge for anybody to download. So as you'll see here, I have a recipe pulled up. I'm thinking about what I'm going to make for dinner here because this is usable on everything on the Google Chrome, on Google Chrome. You can navigate to any website. So I just happen to have pulled up a recipe here. As you see, I've already installed the plugin. As soon as I make sure that it's active, so let's go ahead and just take a look at this page. We have, let's scroll down to the ingredients. I need to think about what I need to grab after work. So you'll see these ingredients and the preparation steps. And if I'm looking at this and thinking, oh, this might be a bit small, or perhaps I'm dyslexic and it's a struggle for me to read because the words and things are so close together, I could go up here to my text adjust plugin, make sure it's turned on. Navigate down to open dyslexic here. And this is a specific font that was designed for people with dyslexia. So that would automatically help me read it a little bit better. Or I could choose any of these other ones if these were just my preference. These are all fonts that have been considered preferable for low vision. And then I'm like, oh, if I were to think that these, I am still struggling, I could increase my word spacing. As you see, the words are getting individually further apart. And then I could increase my letter spacing as well, and my line height as well. So I could see more clearly between each line and my paragraph spacing. So you'll see this paragraph down here moving. I think this is great, and so I'll show it to you with a couple of different fonts as well. And like I said, just generally, I use this for myself. So you all can go to the store, Google Chrome store, our store, and download this plugin for Google Chrome, excuse me. I hope you find this helpful. And like I said, this is not only for our platform, it's for everything that you would navigate to. So it's as simple as just turning it off when you're done. So you would just press this button, and we are now back to our original font that you see here. Let's see here. Are there any questions? I can go ahead and stop sharing this. Are there any questions about this?
We did have a question come in that was actually about what you did previously when you did the talking using the voice. The question
Voice
is,
input? Mhm.
yes, the question is, what enables that voice assist? Is there a third party product, or is there something, or is it all within ServiceNow? Is there
It's
something
all
else that
within
we have to-
ServiceNow.
It's
We
all
built
within ServiceNow. Good. Yeah. And then another
up
one that was in the chat, but I'll go ahead and mention it, is the voice command feature. Is this based on AI, and can it learn from edits? Summarizing incidents would be amazing. Is it learning
It
from it?
does summarize incidents. That is one of our now. It is only available in the Now Assist panel.
Okay, great. Just out of curiosity, is there a specific Now Assist that needs to be the plugin that needs to be installed in order to do this? For
No, you
example,
can.
like when we generate a data visualization, we need Now Assist for Creator needs to make sure that plugin is installed. Is there one for this? No?
No, it's automatically there as you saw when I did the demo. I just went to settings and preferences.
Nice.
So it's built in because we like to build the accessibility that's just available for everybody. So that's really great that it's just there. It's as simple as flipping on the switch.
Yeah, and I think that you answered this before, but I'll go ahead and ask it again. Is it available in any other languages currently?
No, I
No.
don't actually. I'm not sure. At this time, I'm only aware of the Now Assist voice input in English.
Okay, and then The text sizing feature is a Google Chrome plugin. What about Edge? Is this a long-term roadmap item or just currently? Will it be around
Um,
in 2030?
um, I hope so. At this time, it's through the ServiceNow store, so apologize, but it works on Chrome.
So that's the only browser that it works on is Chrome.
No, it does work on another one, and I'm so sorry. I cannot
Safari or
remember.
Edge. We'll look it up. We'll make sure that we get
We
that
will
in.
be sure.
Yep.
Apologies. I will
No
double
worries.
check on that. I just only use Chrome, and I know I need to know the answer to that. But there is, I believe, only there's one of them that it doesn't work on. I'm pretty sure that it also works on Edge.
Okay, great. All right. Yeah, you can keep going, or I don't.
Yep. We have just
Yep.
one more slide here. Great. So after text address, so this is Ayman. He is our VP of Global Head of Accessibility here at ServiceNow. So, just another quote on accessibility needs to be at the forefront and the core of every modern software experience. So we hope that you move forward and think about accessibility in the same way you think about security and performance and make it a general standard in the overall product development process. So right before I hand it over to my colleague Zapir, we are now getting to the part that everybody is here for and excited for, is the accessibility features in Platform Analytics. So he's going to go over a couple of different features: personalized accessibility settings, reflow capability for responsive design, visual accessibility enhancements, and accessible data presentation. So thank you very much. And for everybody that had questions, we will be following up with you after this session. So with that, I pass it over to my colleague, Ruza.
Yeah, and while that's happening, just one other question that came in, maybe Vicky, that you can answer. Can the text just be downloaded onto a personal computer without using a ServiceNow login or support login? Could you just get it somewhere without that? Probably not, but it's a question worth asking.
I will
Do you have to have
confirm
a
that.
ServiceNow account, support login?
Yeah, I believe you need to have a ServiceNow account to download it from the ServiceNow
Okay.
store.
Okay, great. All right, thank you.
Mhm.
All right, go ahead, Riswu.
Okay, let me share my screen. I have prepared a little demo dashboard. I hope you can see it. So,
Yep, we see.
yeah, hello everyone. My name is Ruzbeb. I'm a product manager at ServiceNow, focusing on dashboard experiences. So, just to reiterate a bit on what Vicky was saying, accessibility for us, especially in this context, is to make sure that everybody can effectively use and understand the data. So that includes people with visual, motor, and cognitive impairments as well. In this demo, I'll highlight 5 key features that help improve usability and inclusivity. I've mentioned them here as a bit of a cheat note for myself, but also an overview for you. So the things that I want to start with mentioning here is that first we have the accessibility settings menu itself, why we have it as a separate menu, and then also adding patterns to colors in charts, forced colors and high contrast mode, reflow and responsive design, tabular data, and screen reader support. I'll get into the details shortly. But before I do that, just mentioning also the principles, so the WCAG principles that are guiding our development. These are that content should be perceivable, so users must be able to see or hear the content. Operable users must be able to navigate and interact with the content. Understandable content must be clear and predictable. And robust content must be compatible with different assistive technologies. So keep these core principles in mind as we're walking through these features, and you can see how they relate. So starting with the menu or the settings themselves. So accessibility is built into the dashboard or the platform rather, but we also recognize that different users have different needs. So we want to also give them more granular controls to enable what fits them better. These settings can be found from the top right corner here in the preferences menu, and then we have a specific accessibility tab. And here we have a number of settings that can help the user. And whenever you toggle something on, it will persist until you return to the same menu and disable it. Now, going to the actual features. So we see that the dashboard, as most dashboards, is sort of using a lot of colors to help us distinguish the different data points from one another. In this dashboard, we see column charts, bubble charts, area charts, all of them utilizing colors, and specifically something like this pie chart. However, colors alone are not sufficient, and according to the WCAG guidelines, we also need to provide other means of distinguishing data from one another. And for this purpose, we can again go to the same menu there. So preferences, accessibility, and replace colors with patterns in charts and graphs. I realize now that this wording could have been better because we're not replacing anything, but we are adding pattern to the colors that we have. And that's important because both colors and patterns are important for us to help us understand the data better or distinguish it from each other. So the dashboard will refresh automatically. And now we see that the same colors are there, but they're also enhanced with green and red patterns, dots, stripes, and so on. So this is helping us being compliant with the WCAG guidelines, and also our users who are perhaps colorblind or have difficulties in distinguishing certain colors from one another, and they can benefit from this. In general, this can be helpful. As we see, for example, in this pie chart, where you have a lot going on, this can help you sort of distinguish the different elements from one another. Going to the overview, we covered the menu, the patterns, and then regarding the forced colors and high contrast mode. So I won't demo this specifically because this is a system-wide setting, and it allows users to override the dashboard default color scheme and apply their own custom high contrast palette. So it works seamlessly with Windows contrast themes, and it helps improve readability for users with low vision, light sensitivity, or difficulty distinguishing subtle color variations. So when Windows high contrast mode is enabled, the dashboard will automatically adjust to the preferences of the user rather. And this helps make things more sharp, clear, and distinguishable. I saw in the chat that somebody was also curious about reflow, and some users, especially those with low vision, might need to zoom in. And for us, we are compliant with WCAG 2.1, which means that the user should be able to zoom in up till 400% without the loss of any function. So the dashboard shouldn't break, the content should still be accessible, there should not be any need for scrolling horizontally. Everything should just stack nicely, and you should be able to access the same content and functionality as you would otherwise. So we'll start by zooming in 175%, 200%, 300, and 400. So everything's stacked rather seamlessly. There was nothing breaking, and we can scroll vertically, and the same content appears that we saw before. And also we have the same functionality available, so I can still edit, add a new element. I can decide which element. So for example, data visualization, I can decide if it's a new visualization or choose from a saved visualization. And then we can zoom out to the standard 100%. Reflow is also useful for different screen types. So for example, if you have a tablet, a mobile phone, this helps the content adjust accordingly. And primarily it's for people with low vision or people who use different assistive tools. Finally, we also have tabular data and screen reader support. So again, from the same preferences, accessibility tab, enable data table for charts and graphs. All right, so users can now navigate through the tables that we see under the charts and graphs, row by row, with a screen reader announcing each data point. So this is something that helps structure the data more. It makes it more structured and easy to read. And also it's easier to navigate with a screen reader. So this helps users who are blind or visually impaired to understand structured data without needing to see the tables visually. And then as a side note, of course, we can have also keyboard navigation. So by pressing the tab button, I can go through all the different elements of the dashboard and navigate seamlessly. That covers, I think, most of it. Happy to take any questions.
Yeah, we have a lot of questions. Well, a lot of them that are actually getting answered. But let's do this while people are still thinking of more. We have another poll that I think would be super interesting now to run after the content. So I'm going to go ahead and launch that.
So, I felt like it was appropriate after that great poll result here. If you want to learn more about accessibility, I would appreciate it as well if you join our accessibility community. So I'm going to go ahead and drop that in here. We just built this page, and so we will be posting a lot of our accessibility features here. So I dropped the Now community link there. So right now we have a few members. I would love it if you join this group. And so here we have a start here with accessibility resources. I know that there was a couple of different questions about, all sorts of things on this page. So this first blog post written by myself and my colleague Erica has all sorts of podcasts, a little description of our awards, demos, super, super helpful. And then somebody else here in the chat asked for a little bit more information on the product on accessibility across the product. So after you join the Now community accessibility group, you can go ahead and navigate over to here. And then finally, the accessibility checker that I had mentioned to one of the participants earlier, but I think would be useful to everybody. I'm going to drop the product doc link for the accessibility checker in the toolbar here. So it's super easy to use as well. And earlier in the chat, I had dropped the link for the text adjust neurodiversity tool, which you could download. So thanks for giving me a minute of extra airtime, Thomas.
No problem. No, this is really good stuff here. So I'm glad that we have more of our customers thinking about it, and it definitely was impactful for myself as well. So I think it's a win-win to talk about this holistically, from the platform perspective, and also bring it into platform analytics. And all of the questions are being answered here. Let's see. Okay, here's a question that came in, maybe you can do. So, many users report that certain accessibility patterns are undesirable. Is there a way to omit or prioritize these? Is this directly to platform analytics or towards the platform? I honestly don't know the answer to that. So either Vicky or Respa, maybe you'll know the answer to that.
Apologies. Could you repeat the question? I was trying to
Sure.
follow along.
So
Yeah.
it says many, and this is from Stephen Rogers. You know
Oh, I
what?
see it here. Many
Yeah, yeah. Well,
or
the first question was accessibility patterns. Is there a
yeah.
reason this is only a global setting and there aren't the equivalent of schemes or definitions that we can use on a visualization basis? Many users report that certain accessibility patterns are undesirable. Is there a way to omit or prioritize these?
Most of our accessibility features you would need to turn on. So I suppose if you found them undesirable, you wouldn't need you could just omit on turning them on. And is there a global setting where there aren't equivocative schemes or definitions? Stephen, I don't think I quite understand your first question, but I can follow up with you on that. Also, if anybody has questions, you could post them on the Now community just in general, and we can follow up with you there as well. But yeah, Stephen, I'll go ahead and get back to you on that, your first question.
Stephen, you're allowed to talk if you want to talk. We allow
Oh, okay.
yeah, we love hearing from
So
you.
yes,
How are you?
regarding the first one, currently when you go to enable accessibility patterns, it's a global setting. It's a user-driven setting, like dark mode or the equivalent.
Yes.
That feature, however, seems to be locked away from admins and report designers who want to be able to push it. So, for example, if you wanted to create visualizations that proactively used those features, you cannot without changing your entire user preferences, which often isn't the goal.
Yeah.
So currently, and I'm a little bit hazy on how this all works in Next Experience because most of the last 10 years I haven't worked in last 10 years I haven't worked in Next Experience. But historically, the way that a lot of these colors and schemes and patterns were treated is that there were definitions within tables that often had, for example, color schemes often would have 1 to 20 for what colors would be used in what order when they encountered data and how the visualization would render them, right? So that, and a lot of that, because that was exposed, if there was ever an issue with a particular visualization, for example, two colors of blue were too close to one another in a render list and were indiscernible to a user, or users who were red-green colorblind had confusing colors that were too close to one another in the order, you could go in and manually do that. It seems to me, and I hope I'm wrong, and that's why I'm asking my question, that the accessibility patterns, it's black box. You hit a toggle and you get what you get. And if that doesn't work for a user, there's nothing an admin can do to fix it. Unlike the old color patterns. Does that
I
make
think,
more sense?
yeah, I think you might be able to fix this under theming, but I still want to go back and take a look at and
Let me maybe try to answer it. So there's two parts. There's patterns and there's colors, right?
Uh-huh.
So for the colors, it's still the same, right? The only difference before, your default color scheme was just in the color scheme table list of colors.
Mhm.
In the new experience, default color scheme is stored as the list of the hex values of the colors in the theme of your whatever you theme. By default, it's a Polaris theme. You maybe in your org changed it to whatever theme you have for your company. It's a list. So there is data visualization colors, and it's from the 0 to 31, I believe. So there's a list of colors. And if you want to make your default colors just different to match your theme, to make it darker, to move around the colors, you can do it straight there. The reason why it is in the file is just because that we can easily support like a light and dark. So you might need to want to change like light and dark theme, both files. So it works nicely in both. If you select specific color palette for specific dashboard, you don't have to use default colors. You can use fixed like specific color theme, and those are still stored. It's the same pretty much color schemes which we had in the reports. It's literally the same table. So if you already had some colors created or color schemes created, you can still use that. When you talk about patterns, which Roosevelt was showing, it's just applying additionally patterns on top of these colors.
Mhm.
And those are not controllable indeed.
Okay.
Those are just it's the default patterns which we picked. If you do have a feedback that for some reason you think those are the bad patterns, please let us know, because like we tested, we like do it explored, we figure out what's the best way, and yeah, we just try to make it work. But it's not something that you have control in the system of.
Okay. No, that I can work with. That's mostly good news because that means that the work we've done for the various types of colorblind folks, I can just push that forward. The use case, the reason specifically that I was asking about the patterns is because some users have reported, some visually impaired users have reported that when certain of the patterns are adjacent to one another, it actually makes viewing the visualization harder, not easier. And I don't know the specifics of these individuals'
There would be
particular
gray.
impairment. I think it has to do with when there's like lines intersecting and they can't quite focus. So I was just wondering if there was a way that I could be like, oh, just the same way that I can go into the color schemes and say, keep these particular colors far away from each other.
Yeah.
For certain types of colorblind people, I could say, oh, keep these types of patterns far away from each other for individuals with other impairments.
No, that's
Stephen, would
another.
it be okay if we followed up with you on this one?
Sure.
I'm actually just genuinely curious for like product feedback for my own
Yeah,
team.
yeah, I don't mean to monopolize your session. I
Yeah.
apologize. I just wanted
Thank
to.
No,
you.
yeah,
And I
please
appreciate
share.
the feedback on the colors. That does help me fix most of the
The
issue.
only thing, Stephen, to take into account when you pick specific color scheme, like if you don't want to change default colors, but you want to change default color scheme, each color now also has a reference to the color variable. So if you expect people to be using the different themes on the dark and light, you might need to also make sure that you have the variable which is linked kind of has a variable which will be translated in the dark theme. So just test it with the light and dark. It's all controllable. You have all the controls, and if you have challenges, you can reach out. Yeah, just test. Pick different colors if you want. Make sure it's
Yeah, no, in the past, it's
so
just been
if they prefer dark theme, you don't make it like all dark, all black in the
yeah,
dark.
no, in the past, it's just been literally a matter of like making like copying a palette, making a custom palette for a user, and then rearranging the order of the colors to enable that user to get their work done so it doesn't jam two colors next to each other that the user views as the same.
Yeah.
That's
And
super
you can
helpful, Stephen.
introduce different themes as well, right? Because of the different themes, you can also introduce different themes. So if you have specific themes for the colorblind people and something, you can introduce like extra different themes just for the people who have specific needs. So you can have more themes than just one, right? So that's
Yeah, I don't want to take up all your time. I was really hoping there was ways that I could do it without doing something as big as themes. That's why I like just the little
okay.
definition lists. But
Yeah,
Definitely.
and Stephen, we'll shoot you an email after this, man. We'll
yeah,
figure.
like I said, I didn't mean to
No, you're fine. You're
take over
fine.
the
You're
show.
good.
So make sure that we can give you the extra time that you need so we can figure this out for you. We'll shoot you an email and set something up.
Okay.
I
Cool.
do just want to make a quick comment. I just unrelated. There's a couple of people that have had their hands up for a while. I would suggest if you do have a question that you want answered, to please put it in the Q&A panel. If there is something else that you would like to address, you can send it to our just in the chat. Just send it to host and panelists and write in what you'd like to have addressed. So thank you. The first one looks like it's on visualization patterns.
The one from John.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't know if he was making a statement or a question there, but we'll go ahead and ask it here anyway. In platform analytics, I use visualization patterns and dark theme. I have to go back to light theme since my grids were showing up black on dark gray. I cannot see visually the bar chart. Ruzba, you have any comments on that?
Could you read the question again, please?
He's
The
saying in
bar
platform
chart?
analytics, I use visualization patterns and dark theme. I have to go back to light theme since my grids were showing up black on dark gray. He cannot see visually the bar chart.
I see. This isn't something I'm not aware of, but we can look into it. Definitely.
Yeah, since
And
it's
maybe
in the
we could
Q&A.
get back to, yeah,
Yeah, since it's in the Q&A, we should be able to follow up on it.
Yeah, we'll have record of it. Yep.
perfect. Thank you.
That might be also true for Russell's statement or question. Russell had does dark mode I assume doesn't really work for all instances. It says does. I assume you meant doesn't. Like for me and others, I change, say, MS Word to light blue for issues with eye floaters and early stage cataract. So basically saying that, just talking about how that dark mode is not always, and I guess is that a known consideration for the platform as well? Or is that
I
something
mean,
that we
it's
just
like
might
we
want to
have some
follow up on?
default, like what we say, like if you by default platform has just unlike a dark mode, and it's more of a preference than accessibility things. There is some relate accessibility, but it's not, the theming is not meant to solve all the different issues. So there's two ways. If it's something you're trying to solve on the organization level, introducing an alternative themes could help. So you can have more themes to target different groups, especially if it's a big company and you do want to have like out of the box easy experience. The other way is, especially if you are Windows users, I'm not sure exactly. There are probably a Mac also things on this. You can have this forced color mode, the contrast mode on the Windows, where you can pretty much set any colors you want. You can control what the background, what the text color, what the buttons color is. This is a really great feature for the accessibility for like people with the vision related disabilities, or just reference, like it's sometimes it's things you can adjust, and then it will apply for pretty much on any web application you do, but for sure all the ServiceNow applications, like on the background colors we have, any action buttons, it would apply. So if it's just you personally trying to figure out, that's you can just use on your machine the the Windows contrast mode, and if you try and solve it on the company level, the alternative themes can be created to have not super dark black, for example, background, but the bluer or something. So the use cases you describe, yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you, Olga. So for the sake of time, we'll go ahead and close this out. So let me first say thank you to Vicky and Ruzba for sharing a lot of great content, and really a session that most of the sessions do this, I'll say, but really get you thinking, because what we're doing and what we're creating is generally for other people, and we definitely need to make sure that we keep them in mind as we create, to make sure that everybody can utilize the things that we have inside of our platform and platform analytics as a whole. So super awesome session, and really appreciate the two of you sharing and demoing, and of course all of the panelists as well answering questions. So quickly, I'll go ahead and close out a couple things just for you to think about. So as usual, make sure that you're checking out our community, and this information obviously will be there probably tomorrow based on when I actually get the recording, and I'll make sure that all of that information is in there. And then any of the questions that were typed and not answered live, I'll make sure that I actually put those inside of the community as well, with those answers. And also any links that were shared via the chat, I'll make sure that we have those inside of the community link as well. So make sure that you're utilizing ServiceNow Learning. Hey, Vicky, here's a good question. Do you know if there's a session in Now Learning as it relates to accessibility?
Well, wouldn't you know, I'm working on making one. Super excited. That'll be out hopefully this year. And
Okay.
if you sign up for Now Community, you will be the first one to know.
Awesome. Thank you. Again, make sure that you're utilizing the Platform Analytics Enablement Toolkit that we have out there. If you're moving to Platform Analytics, already have, or if you're a net new, use those videos and other things we have there to sort of help yourself. And we, I promise, believe it or not, are in the process of adding to that. We're just waiting on a couple things, but that will be getting increased videos and things of that nature as well. Speaking of migration, we're going to do a session in 2 weeks where we're going to talk about Platform Analytics Migration Center, and probably give some segue into new things that are coming with that in Yokohama. Our own Marta and Dan, I think, will be talking to that in 2 weeks. So we've had a couple of these sessions in the past, but super important as we're encouraging and trying to get more people to migrate over to Platform Analytics, that we continue to have these sessions and to talk about things that have been added or fixed or things of that nature. So we'll have that conversation in 2 weeks. And with that, thank you. Thank you again to everybody that was there. There is one question here. Let's see. When you create a visualization, would it be possible to have a favorite favorites chart type above the scores, perhaps either the most popular or something. Each individual user can define favorites for our reports, list, single score bar, time series line bar would be something would be like to see in the favorites. So looks like Mike is going to answer that. So maybe that is there, or in the future, we can do that in a release. But again, thank you everyone that has come and contributed to this. And of course, thank you to all of our customers that choose to join us every 2 weeks. And we'll see everybody in 2 weeks. Thank you.